Do you like fishing? I do, and if there's one thing that's true about fishing, it's that you never know what's going to happen. Jesus used fishing as an illustration for what he was going to be doing during his ministry too. He would be fishing for people, and not only would he himself be teaching people about who he was and why he had come, fishing for them to listen to the word and soften their heart, but also he would be training disciples to do that too. And if there's one thing about fishing that's always going to be true, it's that you never know what's going to happen. Sometimes you're sure you're going to catch them and you don't. Other times you're sure you're not going to catch them, but you do. One of my favorite stories of that happening to me is many years ago. We were on vacation to a lake in northern Minnesota that was known for its walleye fishing. There was even this gigantic statue of a walleye that you could get your picture taken by as you were entering into the area by the lake, because it was just so widely known for being a great walleye fishing lake. But one problem the week that we were there, it was 95 degrees up there, and they just are not built to handle that kind of heat at all. The fish were just laying in the bottom of the lake, not really caring about much of anything. And so our walleye fishing that week was absolutely terrible. We didn't catch any, except this one time when my little girl, at the time, Abby, was in the boat with her Barbie pole or princess pole, and Grandma was also in the boat with us. I was just setting the hook to see how far down the hook was going to go and make sure it wasn't dragging on the bottom right out of the side of the boat. And all of a sudden, boom, 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 there you go. We pulled it up and there was a walleye. We weren't even trying to catch at that time a fish. We were just setting the hook on the princess pole. And in that unexpected time, in this lake known for walleye fishing, that was the only walleye we caught all week. So sometimes you catch them when you're not expecting them, even though other times you're thinking you should catch them and you don't. That happened to the disciples one time as Jesus was just getting his ministry underway. The disciples had put out into the water all night long and they had caught nothing. Jesus told them in the morning, "Why don't you go out into the deep water and let your nets down for a catch?" Peter at first gave some pushback and said, "Master, we've fished hard all night, like we always do, and we've caught nothing. This is not the time to be doing that again. But because you said so, we'll do that." Well, they caught so many fish. Not only their boat began to sink, but their partner's boat also began to sink. So many fish were caught, 2 boats literally began to sink because of all the fish that were in the net. Peter fell on his face before Jesus and said, "Lord, go away from me. I am a sinful man." Now, how would Jesus respond right then? Would he say, "You're right, you are a sinful man, and I need to train somebody else besides you because you are clearly inadequate and incapable of being useful for me in ministry"? Well, you might think Jesus would say that, but actually he said something very different. Here's what he said. He told Peter and the rest of them, "Come, follow me," Jesus said, "and I will send you out to fish for people." Even though these men were unlikely fishing candidates because they were sinful people and they were me first by nature, Jesus still wanted them because he loved them unconditionally. First of all, to pay for all their sin in full through his perfect life and death coming up and resurrection. But then also to change their heart from being me first to being Christ first. That they would think every waking moment about how they could serve him and impact other people and influence other people for him. That they could share the wonderful forgiveness that Jesus had offered them with the people that they would run across in their lives. They would have the most purposeful way of life, fishing for people. And while they would become, I guess you'd say, church leaders, any Christian can do that. Any Christian can become a fisher of people for Christ. Who in your life needs to get to know the unconditional love of Jesus a little bit better? Go fishing for them. Why not try? What have you got to lose? Share a Bible verse with them. You can just text it over. Share this podcast with them or this video if you're watching it on YouTube. Invite them to come to a Bible study where they can learn about the basic unconditional love of God for all people. Invite them to a church that teaches God's truth. If you're in the Katy area, our Sunday service is at 9:30 in the morning. Don't be afraid to give it a try. You just never know when someone might nibble on the line, when God's word might touch their heart in a way that it never has before. Because remember, sometimes you're expecting to catch fish and you don't, but there's other times where you're not expecting to catch it at all. But you get one on the line. Even though it's 95 degrees outside, even though you're just sitting the hook right outside the boat. Go and be a fisher of people, because it's all about Jesus and never about you.